There's a lot of street photography online these days. The genre just keeps on growing, which is great because it's fun, it's easily accessible. But the thing is, I'm seeing so many very mediocre images. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of pointless photos that don't communicate anything. Photos of people walking down the street, walking away from the camera, walking towards the camera. The people in these photos are just going about their everyday life. They're not doing anything. There's nothing happening. So what's the point? Now, one could argue that these photographers are documenting everyday life. And that would be true. They are. I still take those kind of photos myself. Just photographing random people for no reason can be a great way to learn to use a new camera, to practice different techniques like manual zone focusing, trying out different shutter speeds. It's great. Surely it gets to the point where you're churning out so many images and they look the same as everybody else's. And you have to ask yourself, why? What's the point? What are you up to? Well, I ask myself that, and I continue to ask myself that every time I go out and I shoot. And I decided to address it and really get on top of things recently. So I started to look at photography books again. I had a collection of photography books and I got rid of them about 10 or 15 years ago, which might have been a mistake. So I've started to get hold of a few choice books like The Europeans on my shelf there by Cartier-Bresson. I'm sitting in a cozy armchair and spending time really looking, and I'm asking myself, what's the story here? What's the photographer trying to communicate, trying to say? What emotion are they trying to evoke? And what I realized is every now and then I would come across a photo where I would just stop and really, really look at it. I would immerse myself into it, into the scene, and imagine what was happening or what was going to happen, what the story is. And I think that when you do that, that's the sign of a good photo, where you just want to stop and examine it and keep looking at it and keep discovering different things going on, little nuances. I think doing that with other photographers, really trying to understand them, is the best thing that you can do to improve your photography. So I started looking at some of my photos in great depth and tried to figure out, are there any photographs like that I've taken that I want to just stop and really look at them? And I did actually find a few. When I was at college learning photography, a big part of the curriculum was studying other photographers, studying the masters, and actually also studying classic painters, because nobody understands light and drama better than painters. I want to give you as much value as possible on this channel because I appreciate you taking the time to stop by, and I want to inspire you, to give you ideas. So I thought what I'd do today is run through a selection of my favorite street/documentary photos and break them down and explain to you why I like them and why I think they work. Now, to a degree, this is very subjective, and I think you might disagree. You might think, well, really, what's the big deal with this photo that he's showing us? Excuse me. Well, that's a good thing. You should question what I say, what anybody says, and ultimately it's what you like that matters. But I think there's going to be some value in doing this exercise today. Of course, I love black and white photography the most, so what I've chosen is some black and white photos, and let's dive right in. So this first one is probably my favorite photo that I have taken over the past 3 years. since I've been doing a lot of black and white street photography, which was a result of buying a Leica Q2 monochrome. I've just been shooting black and white street and documentary like crazy with that camera because I just want to pick it up and go out and shoot. And I think this is the best photo from the past 3 years since I've had the camera. This photo is a turning point for me because it's not high contrast, it's not raw and gritty and dramatic, which is something that I've always liked. So no high contrast, just plenty of grey tones. And I actually love the fact that there's no drama here. It's very quiet, it's very calm, but there's anticipation. And I find that fascinating. The people in the photo are all reacting and feeling something. So I can't help but wonder what's going on? What's the story? And also what's going to happen next? Everybody's just waiting for an ice cream. So what's the big deal here? I really like the fact that you've got people like this woman on the right, the bottom right. She looks really concerned. And there's a girl twiddling her hair and it's like, oh, the kids are looking. It's when you look to see what they're looking at, all you're seeing is a hand holding an ice cream. You're not even seeing the person serving it, which I think is kind of fun. I also like the fact that the ice cream cone with the swirly ice cream on top is on the van in a couple of places. It's sort of either side of the real ice cream. I can't explain any more than that. There's something about it that makes me look at it and explore it and just see all the different reactions and how everything's working together. I have a really hard time explaining in words about something visual, things that I like that are visual. So do excuse me, I'm trying my best here. Hopefully I'll do a better job on the next photo. This photo was taken in exactly the same location actually as the ice cream photo, but a few weeks apart. It was a glorious summer's day, very warm, and I was sitting on a bench, basically fishing, waiting for interesting characters to walk by. I was pre-focused. All I had to do was capture that special moment. And I was there for about an hour shooting tons. And then all of a sudden this charming young girl runs by. She's so excited to be at the beach. I think the family came from London or something for the weekend. And just she was so excited and she was running, and I like that I caught her in midair and she's so enthusiastic, and there's childhood innocence here, a sense of excitement and innocence. And also I think for me, part of the reason why I like this photo is I was born and raised in this town, Folkestone, and I was there as a kid just as excited. So I think that's a huge factor here. It's nostalgia. I like this photo because it's nostalgic. It means something to me quite deeply. Okay, so I'm having trouble trying to articulate myself with this photo too. To try and sum it up, it's nostalgic, it's charming, and it's innocent. And I really like it. If you don't, that's fine. I didn't shoot it for you. From a technical point of view, I think the composition is really nice with the dark band of water running through the middle and the mid-grey top and bottom. I like the fact that the girl is intersecting it on the left third, and she's a lot lighter. The light is catching her, so there's a bit of contrast between her and the dark background. Yeah, it would have been nicer if those boats with the white tops were further apart from her, so there was a bit more separation. But that's fine, I can live with that. Another technical aspect that's perfect is the exposure, because I exposed for the bright highlights on the boat. The sun was hitting them and they're white. So you're not going to get any brighter point in a photo no matter who comes along. So I knew that the exposure would be perfect. And I was also shooting, I think at 1,000 or 2,000th of a second. I normally in these conditions shoot at 2,000th of a second if I can. So technically, yeah, it's flawless, I would say. But of course, being technically flawless does not make a good photo. We've talked about that before. This is an image that I shot in Toronto, again in the summer. Everybody's lining up at this burger van to get their food, and they've sold out of fries. All the signs where they've got fries in, that's all blocked out with tape. And I like the fact that you can see this woman, this cook, hidden behind in the kitchen. She's out of view from the front probably, but you can just see her through this gap. She looks like she's really struggling there to keep up with demand because it's hot and busy. On the left side of the frame, we've got this girl and she's got her order, and it actually looks like she's got fries. Maybe she got the last fries available. She's got an interesting expression, so I'm sort of wondering, well, what's she thinking? The guy to the left of her, he's eagerly waiting. I like the juxtaposition of what's going on outside in the queue and what's going inside in the burger van. And I also like the way the lighting works across the signs. I find the whole thing works from a composition point of view. There's contrast, there's story. It makes you examine it and wonder what's going on. Again, am I doing a good job at explaining this? I just love that photo. One thing I like to do when I'm out and about with my camera is look for repetition. And I learnt that from Cartier-Bresson. I noticed there's a number of his photos where he's seen two people and then he's seen something else in the frame, could be something inanimate, where there's also two or three of them, and he's sort of like, there's this sort of juxtaposition, and I find that's very observant. So I started looking for things like that. And this photo, it's not quite the same as what Bresson had done, but it's similar in that it's repetition. I saw these three people, three completely different age brackets, all so engrossed eating their ice cream. Again, just thought it was a fun, sort of charming photo, that they're just so into what they're doing. That's the sort of thing that I look for, and I was quite pleased that I found that. Now, the other thing that I like to look for is humour. I've seen photos on social media that people have taken of just somebody sitting on a bench reading, like this guy, and that's the photo. What's the point? What are they trying to say? It's just some guy on a bench. When I saw this guy sitting on a bench, I immediately smiled and I had to grab this photo because, well, t-shirt, right? If he didn't have the word bench on the t-shirt, it would be a boring, pointless photo. Maybe you still think it's a boring, pointless photo, but for me, it's just made me smile. I think it's humorous. When I look at a lot of street photography, I've noticed there's one thing missing, or a very short supply, and that's those little moments, those little intimate, charming moments, interactions between people. And in this case, the interaction is between the dog and the little boy. They've got eye contact, they've created a connection. The little boy, the mother was taking the boy into the tea shop, and as he walked by the dog, he really loved it and he wanted to pet it. And the mother continued taking him into the store, but she let him stop and turn around and look at the dog. And that eye contact, I think it's just a beautiful, charming moment. Again, it's an innocent moment. Children, you got to be careful when you photograph kids. You get some funny looks. I don't make a point of photographing kids for that reason, but when you come across something like this, usually little kids in particular, it's just so innocent and so charming. It's delightful, and I think this photo it's one of my favorites. There's another thing that I look for is unusual things that just don't feel quite right, that make you look and think, what's going on there? Why is this the way it is? And this next photo, I found this in Canterbury in England, the city of Canterbury. And again, it's another tea room. I seem to like tea rooms for some reason. These two elderly ladies are inside having their afternoon tea. What caught my eye is the teapot on the windowsill. Like, why is it there? I like the fact that there's a sign that says tea, so we get what's going on. We're being told that. And the top of the sign is a leading line. It takes you right to the table where the ladies are sitting. I think they're two interesting characters. I was looking at this as a documentary photo. It's just capturing life. That's what people do. That's what elderly ladies do on a sunny afternoon. They go and have tea and cake. And you see it everywhere in the towns in the UK. And that's exactly what they're doing. But the extra element that really appealed to me was this teapot sitting on the windowsill on the bottom third of the frame. From a composition point of view, I like the diagonal line on the left, the top of the sign, and the corresponding diagonal line on the top right. I think that's, and then we've got the line running through the middle. I think compositionally it works really well. I cut their heads off on purpose because I wanted to create a composition that doesn't feel quite right. It's sort of, the way it's cropped adds to you questioning why. What's going on with this photo? Why is it cropped like that? Why is that teapot there? It's just, this photo asks a lot of questions. I love it. One more. I showed this as an example in a previous video, but again, it's a photo that I really like because, like the last one, you look at it and think, why? What's going on here? Why are these two guys walking down the street with flowers? And more importantly, why has the guy on the right got a little girl's dress hanging from a hook on his t-shirt? What's going on? Where are they going? What are they doing? Most of the photographs I've showed you today make you ask why, what's going on. That very first ice cream image has taken my style in a new direction because of all the soft grey tones. But this is my typical style. This is the way I've taken this and I've edited this photo. That's me. I like high contrast. I like it grainy and grungy. I'm not interested in dynamic range and perfect sharpness because I think my influence when I was a younger lad in my teens, it was late 70s, early 80s. It was very raw and the music scene, punk and grain and grunge, and that the style of photography that I grew up with back then has stayed with me. And I think you can see that in this photo of these two guys. But I'm embracing softer tones and calmer, more atmospheric black and white now. So there's going to be that mix as I move forward. Well, I hope you found that interesting, inspiring maybe. And if you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. We can have a chat there if you like. And thanks for watching and see you next time.